Stardate 9502, I think, or 9602, or 90-something 02, or I don't know. Anyway, thank you for that, Cosmo. Anyway, so Dylan asked me yesterday what my least favorite book to film adaptation is, and this video could go on for a long time, but I don't have time for that. So I'm going to try and keep it short. I'm actually going to talk about two, and one that isn't a bad film adaptation. I really like the adaptation. It's just there was a decision made in it, and I studied film, guys, so, you know, think about it that way. I know the reasons why films have to change from books, and so I'm not usually the person who's like, that's different from the book, I hate it. It was a really stupid reason to change it, and it was not really okay to change it. I mean, it had the author's permission and everything, but just, ugh. Anyway, the one that I actually dislike is The Outsiders. I love the book, The Outsiders. I really do. But I think the movie picks up at a really stupid spot. They actually pick up at the book's inciting incident, which in all reality just doesn't make any sense, because there is a lot of development that has to happen then. You have to kind of know who the characters are to care about what happens in the inciting incident. And so it kind of starts with an inciting incident. An inciting incident, if you guys don't know, is the moment where the plot starts. Before that is all introduction, and you don't really get that with the movie. They start like, God, I think if I remember correctly, they actually start in chapter like 7 or 8 of the book for the film. So think about that. You've got a ton of chapters that you completely avoided just because you didn't want to do the building up of the background story, and just, to me, just felt like a really rushed movie, and I wasn't impressed. I thought the acting was okay, and of course it was Francis Ford Coppola, so the directing was awesome, but I don't know, it was kind of bad. I just didn't like where it started, and I just didn't feel as connected to the characters as I did in the book, and that is really sad, considering I connect better to screen than I do to book. So if I couldn't connect to the characters as well in the movie as I could in the book, that's a really huge problem. And it just wasn't a good movie in general. Like, we actually talked about that when we talked about Francis Ford Coppola in film history. My professor even brought that up, and he's like, no, that was a really bad Ford Coppola movie, and kind of agreed. Anyway, the other one was Marley and Me. That was another book that I had read first, and I made sure, matter of fact, like the day I finished the book, I finished crying, and then I went out and I bought the movie, because the movie like just came out the week before or something like that, and I wanted to finish the book before it left the theaters so I could see it in theaters, but just didn't happen. And the thing was how they got Marley. In the book, they got Marley from a breeder, but because breeders are evil things now. After all, I didn't get my dog from a breeder or anything. Yes, I did. Just because of the stigma attached to breeders these days. Because after all, every single breeder is a puppy mill. They decided to make it that Marley came from a litter of puppies from a humane society. And I'm not bashing humane societies. I work with a humane society with where I work. And I have no problem with humane societies. I think they're fantastic facilities, and I think people should adopt, as, you know, but the thing is changing it for a political reason really bothered me. Really, 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 really bothered me. And I don't even care that it changed from real life. It just, because it was a real life, and then it was a book, and then it was a movie. And I don't care if it was changed from real life. That doesn't bother me. Like I said, you know, John Grogan said it was okay, so whatever, that's fine. But changing it because of the political aspect behind it, because the stigma attached to breeders, that just isn't fair. There's even just kind of a minor thing that was left out then because of it, not even really all that minor. It kind of led up to why Marley was the way he was, and it was because he took after the father dog, and the father dog was crazy. And I mean, it was just... it ended up being minor, but at the same time, not really. It just, it bothered me. And I don't like when people change things for political reasons. That's all. Anyway, David, your question about movies. Okay, is there a book that if you could change into a movie, you would? For me, definitely. And I've actually been working on it since high school, and it's The Giver. If you've read The Giver, please comment below because I'd love to talk about The Giver. It's such a good movie or good book. So do comment below if you've seen that. The Giver is an awesome book, and I think it would make an awesome movie. But that's definitely what I would do. So David, is there any book that you would turn from a book into a film? Anyway, so that's all, and I'll see you guys next week. David, we'll see you tomorrow.